Good morning, everyone. Some of you have traveled a great deal. Thank you. We appreciate you being here, and all of you. Please put your cell phones on mute for us so they're not in the recording. And I will call to order the Lander County Commissioners Meeting, Town Board of Battle Mountain and Austin Board of County Highway Commissioners for July 11th, 2019. And if you would all please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and now if you'll join us in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. The Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 o'clock to 1:15. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. We will begin with our Commissioners' reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. And I'll start with you, Commissioner.
I don't have anything to report.
Nothing? Okay.
Nothing to report.
Nothing? Okay, Commissioner Allen.
Okay, so on the 27th in Carson, there was a meeting with the Nevada Day Parade Committee group. This year is 100 years of counties. Pershing County was the last county to join the state, and they're celebrating their 100 years this year. So the theme is 100 years of counties. One of the things I got out of it that was really interesting, they've got a book, kind of a informational book that they come out every year with. And they really stressed to try and get the communities involved in the parade and getting information submitted to this book so that it's passed out countywide so other counties can look, and they'd like a little kind of synopsis about Battle Mountain and whatnot. So that was on Thursday night. Friday was a NACO meeting, and the legislative session is over. There's a couple handouts they gave us on some of the bills that do require county action, that do affect the counties in fiscally, et cetera, and then also a final bill tracker that's not every single bill, but a lot of the bills that did go through that also kind of impact the county. If anyone would like copies of that, I have those. Another one that was really interesting, we had a presentation from economic development, and they're doing they're going from county to county and really doing a mass study economically on these counties. So they gave us the information on Lincoln County. And it's actually really interesting. They list, school population, staffing, county staffing. This is on every level of businesses within Lincoln County. And they've got a couple other counties that they're working on now, but it's just a process they're going through. So they'll eventually hit Lander, but it's kind of interesting to see it in black and white. Just kind of how each county compares fiscally and population-wise, et cetera. So that's it.
Thank you. I'll just kind of piggyback on that because of the NACO meeting, which was the 28th, and Judy was talking about the socioeconomic baseline study that they're doing, and actually that is done through University of Nevada Cooperative Extension.
Okay, sorry.
And that is exciting. So like she said, they'll complete every single county by the end of the year. She also mentioned the summary of bills that they have done for us, which will affect county action in one department or another. We went through actually most of the different bills that impact the counties. There's some heavy ones like indigent defense reform, criminal justice reform, changes to the public record law, workers' compensation expansion, and of course the impact to our county finances from the governor's budget. So all of that is key. We've got quite a few things this year that we've been affected by. On the 8th of July, I did have a Justice and Public Safety telephone call. We're getting ready, of course, for our national NACO meeting, which starts actually today in Clark County. And the different resolutions that we were putting through, and I have a number of them, of course. It's rather thick, but I did want to share one that was kind of interesting because it's done from our fellow commissioner in Elko County. And I did want to share that with you. It affects all of us in so many of the counties. The proposed policy is the NACO urges the Trump administration to instruct federal land management agencies to utilize domestic livestock grazing as a cost-effective and viable method of hazardous fuels reduction on public lands. And then it goes on to tell the full resolution, of course. In the background is the wildfires burned 8.6 million acres of land nationwide during the 2018 fire season. It came to over $2 billion on top of the untold billions of economic loss to all of the different counties, of course, and economies locally. Scientific studies prove that livestock grazing is the most effective means of reducing fuel loads in fire-prone ranges, and targeted grazing also has been proven to be effective at reducing the severity and spread of fire in areas dominated by the cheatgrass. The fiscal urban-rural impact: reduced fuel loads on federal lands can reduce the threat and intensity of wildfire, which reduce the amount federal agencies spend on wildfire suppression. Increased grazing could be a net revenue source for the federal government as permit fees are paid and economic activity intensifies. And this was sponsored by Commissioner Rex Denninger out of Elko County. And that was our only local one from Nevada, so I did want to share that with you. Also on the 8th, we had the Austin Airport Advisory Board met. The FAA requirement for a second access road, actually, we've been working on. We're also working on some additional signage that isn't as good and absent in some areas. We actually had a couple people that filled up with our Jet A quite substantially. And I think most of you have been familiar that the Top Gun 2 crew came out to film some of the last of their new movie in the Kingston area. They brought a crew of like 95 people with them that were on the ground that the Kingston folks actually catered and such. I understand Tom Cruise did not stop, he was up there coming through, but one of the local pilots, and Tom Anderson, who is the airport manager in Kingston and also sits on our advisory board, said he spoke with some of the pilots and told them about our Jet A, and they said they were thrilled to hear that. So that could have been maybe some of them that fueled up. We're excited about that. So with that, we appreciate all the information and the hard work that they have done at NACO after the legislature. And of course, Keith knows how to reach out and get all the additional information that he needs. So with that, we will move over to staff reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended.
All right, so I am happy to say that after our last meeting and the commission signed all of the union contracts, they were signed by the each of the members of the negotiating team on each side. They were sent to the union main building, main headquarters, main office for signature, and everything should be in line. We should have our contracts all in line for the next 3 years, our union contracts. We should be good. On another note, our health insurance. We do have some issues. I don't know if you've been hearing rumors around town or not, but on July 31st, Renown Health, they put in a termination notice. They hope to have something worked out by July 31st in order to get Renown back into the Anthem program, but as of today, there has been no movement. So Renown might be out of our Anthem network. And it also will affect the Austin, the Nevada Health Centers, which is the Austin Clinic.
What was the reason for termination, did they say, or?
It didn't say, the initial termination just said that in February of 19, Anthem Blue Cross Shield issued a termination notice of the company's contract with Renown Health. And we did not find out about this until after everything had been put in place by the commission. So we weren't able to let you know, but our broker's working on it. Liz has been working on it. We've all been working on to try to make sure that we get this back in place for our employees. So if it doesn't get put into place, we'll have to come up with another plan. But I'll keep you guys informed on what's going on with our Renown contract through Anthem. I'm gonna ask Commissioner Waits that we, item 8, which has to do with the truck routes, we've done some more research on it. It's pretty clear on what it is. It wasn't even supposed to include Muleshoe Road. That was a mistake on my part, but we can table, or we don't even need to discuss it unless somebody wants to, but we've got a pretty clear understanding through our code of that truck route.
So you want to pull number 8 and amend the agenda?
If we could, please.
Absolutely.
Unless somebody absolutely needs to talk about it,
Okay with that?
I see no need for it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Thank you, and that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Public comment. This time is for non-agendized items only. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and/or attend and make comments on any non-agenda item at the board meeting, if any, and discussion of those comments at the discretion of the board. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person, again at the discretion of the board. Reasonable restrictions may be placed on public comments based upon time, place, and manner, but public comment based upon viewpoint may not be restricted. Do we have any public comment this morning? Hearing none, we move into the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine. They may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during the meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's Office for viewing, and copies are available for a nominal charge. On this, we have number 1, approval of July 11, 2019 agenda notice. Number 2, approval of March 19, 2019 special meeting budget workshop minutes. Number 3, approval of March 28, 2019 meeting minutes. Number 4, approval of April 1st, 2019 special meeting budget workshop minutes. Number 5, approval of April 11, 2019 meeting minutes. Number 6, approval of April 25th, 2019 meeting minutes. Number 7, approval of May 9th, 2019 meeting minutes. Number 8, approval of May 23rd, 2019 meeting minutes. Number 9, approval of June 27th, 2019 meeting minutes. And number 10, approval of the payment of bills. And we have received no minutes as far as the commissioners. I understand the clerk did receive some minutes that they're going through, so at least we'll be working on some next time. So we'll pull them all out, because we need to do an amended agenda approval, and the payment of the bills we need to pull out, and of course all the minutes. So no consent agenda. I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda notice with number 8 removed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Judy made the motion, Brian seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we move to number 10, approval of the payment of bills. gonna pull two out, actually three checks. Number 203797, number 203664, number 203707. So if I can have a motion for the balance of the payment of bills?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Brian, seconded by Judy. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, the one that we're gonna pull out now is 203797, which is actually Commissioner Sparks for,
I'll be abstaining just because it's paid to, made to my employer.
thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, made by Judy, seconded by Art. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I
Okay,
abstain.
that passes, and the next two are 203664 and 203707 for Commissioner Allen, and she is abstaining because.
I will abstain because those were for meetings I attended.
Oh, I'll make motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Brian, seconded by Art. Any other discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
No.
Aye. And Judy abstained. Thank you. Move into the commissioners. Number one, discussion and possible action to appoint or reappoint two individuals to serve on the Board of Land County Convention and Tourism Authority from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2021, which currently has two openings, 2-year terms, and to consider all of the following applicants to include. Richard Ripley, currently sitting on the board representing the motel industry, and Chad Kelly, new applicant representing the hotel industry, and all other matters properly related thereto.
I'll make a motion to appoint, keep Richard in his position and appoint Chad Kelly.
I'll second.
Thank you. Moved by Art for the approval of both, and seconded by Judy. Any other discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Number two, discussion and possible action regarding the 150-year celebration of Battle Mountain in Lander County, Nevada, and all other matters properly related thereto.
Good morning,
Ladies, good
Paula
morning.
Clara. Lori Price.
Rather heavy. Okay, we have on the agenda some ideas apparently for some celebration.
Yes, Battle Mountain's 150th is this year. It was in 1869 that Battle Mountain began, and so this is 150 years, and so we would like to put a committee together to celebrate Battle Mountain. So we need maybe some funds for different activities, food, maybe a band. We're thinking about going to the high school and seeing if they would participate in maybe a timeline to give information about Battle Mountain. And we would like to maybe get some performers. But we would like to have a committee so we can actually get a few people to talk about this and make some decisions. But we would like the county to support us with a few funds if needed.
What month are you looking at doing this? How long? Still in the summer or fall or?
Well, we don't really have a date.
No, and I would like to have it after school starts so the high school can participate, or because you feel, if you get the kids involved, you've got a lot more people that would be willing to do something. So we haven't really figured that out yet. That's why we want to get a committee going, so it's not just us. And I know Robin is interested as well, so from the rec center.
So Lori, and I may be wrong on this, so if so, Ted, correct me. I mean, you can form a committee at any time.
Mhm.
I guess the biggest question would be is if you were to officially request the money from the county, that you'd have to have the 501c3. I'm not sure if it would be something we could run through the Historical Society or the museum. But as far as forming a committee, that is something you can totally do on your own. It doesn't have to necessarily get the involvement of the commission to go through these plans. I mean, we can certainly, endorse it and say we like to support you, and we do support you. I think when it comes to the money issue, I'm not sure how, since it hasn't, well, I'm sure we have money in other funds that we can take it out of, but to give you grant money without a 501c.
Well,
Judy, you're accurate, if I may. As far first as the committee, if you have the county have anything to do with your committee, you're gonna have to follow the certain rules and regulations that are gonna be onerous for you.
Okay.
Because you can do a committee yourself, just like Judy said, and you don't have to follow the open meeting laws. But if you're given money before, and you're given some authority on a committee before from the board, you're gonna have to follow those. And it's difficult sometimes to follow those when you have a committee of just townspeople.
so my question is, what did they do with the 4th of July? How did that work out?
That was done, the county sponsored it, so to speak.
And that's what kind of we're asking, is that you sponsor it. We're willing to help out completely, but we didn't want to have you give us $5,000 and then we have to account. What we would like to do is, if, as we come up with it, give you guys the bills and you would just pay them directly, so no money comes through us.
No, we can't do that. What you can do is find out how much money you need in an accurate amount and ask, since your little organization, the committee you're putting together is not a 501c3, just like Judy points out, we can't do it that way.
The county can't sponsor the celebration like they do the 4th of July?
Did I say that? No, I didn't.
Asking.
When I said it, we can't do it that way because you're not a 501c3. That's why you have to have the amount and say, I would like, and then under the statute that allows the county commissioners to give money on local interests that they find is in the best of Lander County. And they can do a resolution and give you money on that and say, this is in the best interest of Lander County to provide this money for this and this amount. But to sponsor it, you'd have to be a 501c3.
And she is, and that's not the problem. We just didn't want to, we're willing to help, but we didn't want to be the head of the committee, so we thought it would go along with the 4th of July where the county it would be a county-sponsored event. And if you need your employee to be able to arrange all that, we're willing to step in and help, but we did not want to run the whole thing ourselves, because there's only 2 of us, so.
Okay, that's different presentation. That's a whole different idea.
So we're just here to talk about what you guys would like to do for it, and, we're here to volunteer our services to help you put this on.
Well, I think we should help them.
I do too. Anything you guys need, I'm willing to help.
But
Every single time.
they want the county to do it.
I know.
So perhaps one of the things you might like to do is talk with the Bugle and see if maybe you could put a little article in of somebody that might be interested in assisting you, first of all, and see if you have a few people to start with, something like that. I think the interest is there with what we can do, but I don't think the county's gonna run with it. I think we're kind of leaving it up to the town to run with it instead of Lander County, basically. But yes, there are some ways that we can certainly step in and help, and maybe it would be some of our employees, maybe our swimming pool, recreation area, civic center, or something that might be able to work in some things of what you're looking that we can help sponsor a little bit. But as far as saying, we're gonna set a budget and here you go, I don't think that's where we're coming from at all. So I think kind of work together, talk with some of our employees and see if there's any excitement on that part.
Why couldn't we? I mean, this is a kind of it's a big thing. It's a 150-year celebration of our town, you know, so it's,
Well,
I don't see the issue.
well, it is a big deal, but I mean, Austin celebrated 150 years too. But what I'm saying is, for the county to run it, I mean, the county didn't run Austin's, so we looked to the township to do it. And I'm looking to Battle Mountain people to do it here. I think the county will support how we can support, because it is exciting and it is our history. But I don't think we're gonna run with it, that's all.
I just don't know how we could, basically as a county, formulate it and say, hey, okay, Keith, you're gonna chair this, and, you know, so-and-so and so, you guys are gonna be on this committee and you're gonna help out, you know, when they've got other positions, but certainly if anybody wants to, you know, they're more than willing, or, you know, can participate and come to the county for guidance or suggestions or, you know, help in anything they need, but for us, really, I don't know how.
It would be just like the 4th of July.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are the logistics of the 4th of July? I mean, it's,
So, this commission put aside $5,000 for miscellaneous grants. Now, I'm not saying that you have to give it to them, but it can be administered, out of the county, and then they can come and we can discuss what they need, and just like we did with the 4th of July, except that came out of the rec center's budget.
Well, we didn't have a committee or anything on the 4th of July.
There was a group that worked on it, yes, there was.
There has to be somebody
Yeah, there
heading
was
it.
a
I
group
mean,
that worked on it.
Have you guys talked to Rita?
And we
at
don't want
all?
to run it,
Not
we
just
just want to help do it,
Yeah.
so.
Have you talked to Rita at all?
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people are interested in it,
Okay.
but we would prefer that it be a county-sponsored event, and we're willing to help out and have it at the museum or have it wherever you want. We just think that we shouldn't pass up this, you know.
And I think, I mean, we're kind of on the same page in that respect, is absolutely, we're interested in helping. And you guys find the people that want to get it going and come up with the ideas and the plans, and we've got the money available.
okay, that's what we were asking, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's, I feel like it's not totally what you guys were looking for in some respects, but,
Well, on me personally, if the county's not gonna sponsor it, I don't think that I wanna be a part of it. We just didn't wanna have to run the whole thing. We're willing to help out, just like we would at the 4th of July celebration, but if the county's not behind us.
I'm unclear why we can't support them as a county.
well, we are, and that's, we
Then
are
let's support
willing.
them. Let's support them. It's an important
I
thing.
have two different
You know, it's
conflicting
our,
things here. I
But we
can't
are.
decide what we're doing.
Yeah, we are supporting them, Brian, and we've got the money, and I think without, you know, being on the agenda and saying yes, we're pretty much all in agreement that if it comes to that point, that we've got the money, we're willing to support you guys financially.
so
And
what are you guys hearing that you don't like, that you would like us to do? So I guess I'm confused on this.
Well, we just wanted it to be a county-sponsored event,
Okay.
and when we have something, say if we're buying food or something like that, we submit the bills and it runs through Keith. We don't wanna have to work the funds, and, but yet we're willing to go out and do the work or help get volunteers to run this.
And we can't do this?
Yeah, if it's a county-sponsored event, the county's in charge.
I think it's
The
important.
county has all the authority in it too.
And that's perfect.
We can't give the authority to somebody else if it's a county-sponsored event. That's.
So then we just come back in front of them again and just let them know what we're doing, kind of thing?
If the county sponsors it, or if
Then,
they
Yeah,
don't.
if the county's sponsoring it?
You may not even be involved in it if the county sponsors it.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm not, it's a county-sponsored event. And whoever's in charge of the county that does that, if the county commissioners decide it's gonna be a county-sponsored event, they would appoint someone to run it and set up a committee.
And we're fine with that.
And
Okay.
they would have to follow the open meeting laws,
We're fine.
and technically you could put in to be on the committee, whatever you wanna do, but it's the county that has 100% authority over the money and everything else.
Okay.
And then I think that's what you're trying to go for, right?
Yes,
But I'm just letting them know what it involves.
okay.
I'm not arguing against it.
So if you had an exaggerated 4th of July celebration, you had a dance, you had movies for the kids, whatever, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, cause we,
Yeah.
and it's not in
Maybe even-
stone, we were just tossing around some ideas,
Yeah.
like Friday, you would have cowboy, campfire, cowboy poetry, and just everyone would gather around dusk, and we would have cowboy poets. The next day, you could have a parade, and then she would have, maybe some performers, like that Caroline, that she's had at the museum before. We would do the timeline, and we could possibly have dinner if you wanted to do that, or we could just do hors d'oeuvres or something, and have a band or something afterwards, and be done with it.
So what kind of a budget are you looking at?
Well, we had submitted a budget to Keith, of about $6,000, but it could be brought down considerably depending on what you wanna do, what they wanna do, like a dinner, or if you wanted to do just
Which is
hors d'oeuvres or
expensive,
something.
Or we could just do hors d'oeuvres to,
Yeah.
you know.
So Ted, I have a question. Okay, let's say we ran this through the Civic Center, and basically, Rita's the contact person. You have a semi-informal committee that comes up with these ideas. Is Rita, we could run it through there, Rita could present them to the commissioners. Basically, the program of what they wanna do. Would you still have to go through the open meeting law that way?
If it's county sponsored,
Okay,
yeah, and that's why it's, the fireworks have always been done by the sheriff's office or the volunteer fire department. And I don't know what took place this year, but it sounds like it was something different. If it's county sponsored and county controlled and county run, when that committee gets together, they have to follow the open meeting laws because it's all the county money that's financing it. And that's the whole purpose of the open meeting laws, so they can,
Right.
follow the money. Now, if they're just getting, we need $6,000, and you give it to them in a grant, and say, please just let us know, as a condition to the grant, let us know what's going on every couple of weeks. That's completely different. You don't have to follow the open meeting laws. You don't have to follow any of that.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, it'd be easier, but.
I mean, we could give a support in the form of a resolution or something supporting
We do a
them, right, in our,
resolution to
in our
support it, and
heritage
they
and.
can also come every 2 weeks and say, it'd be nice if we could get this or get this, and after the initial grant is given. And, if they need more help, I'm not talking about more money, but, it's possible to give that.
Oh,
And, unless they do need more money, and then they can ask for it. It's just like we give the grants. But if it's county sponsored and county run,
Right. we
yeah,
be
then you have to
accountable
do
for
the open meeting, yeah.
Yeah, because we've done many ad hoc committees, that were formed, and that's fine, everything's out in the open. We don't want to, we want everyone's opinion on it. It's not just us doing it, we want everyone's opinion and involvement on it that feels like they wanna be with it, so.
Well, and actually, that's always the option, is put it on the agenda, come before us, and just for the public, and the newspaper representative, she can always, pass it on for the public that doesn't come to the meeting, so it's not as, okay, here's how the progress is going, this is what we have planned, and, if you wanna help, support, whatever, donate, contact you guys, but you can always just keep it updated every couple of weeks, and that gets the word out too.
Or we could possibly put it on the marquee board at the Civic Center, letting people know, right?
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and open this for any public comment. Come on, jump up.
I think it's a great
Cindy?
idea. Cindy Clark,
No,
for the record.
please.
I think it's a great idea. A 150 celebration, we can't just let that go away. We're proud of being Lander County. We may be a small town, but we're Lander County. We need to do something. I don't know how you guys can support it, but I think you need to support it. If it's just with a check, give it a check and put my name on your roster. I'll be glad to help.
good.
Well, I agree with
Is there
all
a way
that.
that we could have Rita be the head of it, and then during the little get-togethers, we would take minutes and kind of do an outline and then submit that to,
Or Robin. I
Or
mean,
Robin,
Did,
mhm.
did you already put her in charge of something?
No, she just expressed interest in helping out,
Mhm.
so I told her that when it got to that point, that wasn't our problem.
If it's
I
county,
think that was one of my earlier
if
suggestions,
it's a
that you
county
talk
thing.
to the two,
She can help as a private
Groups.
citizen.
the recreation
but you
center and
can't.
the civic
yeah,
center.
we've talked to them, and they were said they would be willing to help. But like I said, we originally wanted this to be a county-sponsored event, and then we would be more than happy to help them out in whatever way they needed to.
I guess it's the definition of county sponsored because.
But we didn't want to be in charge of
Right,
everything, so.
we've discussed that quite a bit, I think, so I think you certainly know that we all feel we would like to celebrate it. And as Cindy said, we don't want it to go by and not do something.
Well, I think we're definitely, supporting it, and, by all means, there was never any intent not to. I'll make a motion that we support the 100-year celebration of Battle Mountain.
150 years.
Oh, sorry, I did see that too, maybe I need to put
You've
my
got
glasses
counties
on.
on the mind.
150-year celebration of Battle Mountain. Kind of vague, but I think if you guys want money, you're gonna have to come back for another agenda item, so.
Probably be done by resolution, we'd have to talk to Keith, and Keith talk to me, and we'd have to do it, some type of resolution that both gives you the money and points out the reasons why it's in the best interest of Lander County to provide the support.
And at that time,
Or
and at that
have
time,
Rita be in charge.
I was gonna say, but, and at that time, we could have maybe the newspaper write a bid article, resolution, best, they have this coming and just get it out there, Cause it'd be cool if we could make it very festive,
Yes, it would. So if we did have Rita or Robin be in charge, it would be a lot easier? All the
You
way
can't
around?
have them employees be in charge unless the county commissioners authorize it as a county function. Because they would be providing their time that they're being paid as employees. And that's where we, see, when we mix these things, that's where we get in trouble.
Right.
You can't call it a hybrid county function. It's either a county function and you'd be on the committee, or it's the town function with county help.
And I think we wouldn't really have an issue with Rita's involvement. I don't know what her time schedule is as far as work-wise, but, if she's doing some of this on county time, I think we can understand that. But we can't really direct her.
Well, it can't be done on county time without it being sponsored.
Right.
If Rita wanted to help on her own
That's-
time,
I
she could
just-
assist on her own
I
time.
mean, maybe I don't understand why we can do the 4th of July and be a sponsored event and not have this be a sponsored event with people running it exactly the same way. And we're just here, not asking for the money, not asking to be ahead of it, just that we're willing to support this event and help out, so.
Well, I'm fine either way we decide to go. I think it's an important time in our history, and so.
To answer your question, no one asked me about the 4th of July.
Mhm.
I didn't provide any legal analysis on it.
All right, it's
So,
always been
so I don't
sponsored by
even
the
know, as
county.
we sit here today, I don't know how it was done.
Yeah.
And I hate to go
Like
into
it
it.
was done every year is how it was done.
What did you just say? I
The way
missed.
it's been done every year is the way it's been done, it was done this year.
Well, that's real profound.
There is a motion on the floor, no second.
Well, I didn't know how to phrase it, so, I'm offering our support, and definitely, we wanna support in any way we can, within the bounds of.
Okay, motion dies. think at this point, you know that we're behind you and we'd like to do some things, but I guess we need some more particulars. So if you'd like to go forward with it and do some advertising and put some groups together and talk to Keith, and then you come back
Like
for
totally
us.
confused right now.
I know, I don't understand why you
If
just
you
can't be
two
a
find,
county.
well, if you two find that you can't do it without it being a county function, then you come back and ask. This does not say anything about asking the county commissioners to take it over as a county function. It's not agendized that, but we could agendize it that way if you find that that's what you need, and then they could decide specifically on that issue.
I think I'd rather do that. Just put it back on the agenda
Okay.
with a more clear request.
So I do have a question, okay, let's make it a county function. And you guys, basically, we are the committee, you are our legman, you do the work, you come before the commissioners and say, okay, this is what we'd like to do, plan, and we approve it. Can we kinda, every 2 weeks you get an update.
We'd really have to put somebody in charge other than just all of us. It's very time consuming, only meeting twice a month and something that's coming up so quickly. We need somebody who can make decisions, if we decide to do that. But the ball's in your court, we're behind you, but there's certain restrictions we have to follow, so.
Are you guys thinking sometime around September, is that what you said? When it-
September, maybe October if we have to go that late.
Okay.
So our bike race will start September 8th and go to the 15th, and so,
So it'd have to be either after, probably after that.
mhm.
Okay, go think about it some more. You might want to see if you can advertise a little bit or enlarge the committee with what you'd like to do and come back with more specifics.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, ladies.
Now, I do have another comment, though. Just kind of an idea of time-wise. Is, Nevada is Nevada Day, and back to this year's theme is 100 Years Counties. Although if we've been a county for 150 years, is possibly shooting for maybe Nevada Day, because I know there's a lot of people that don't go to Carson for Nevada Day themselves, but I don't know if that wouldn't be a bad weekend. Just a thought.
When is Nevada Day?
October 31st.
And if we do have the band represent us, there's going to be a lot of families going, so we might want
That's
to do it
true.
at the same time, is
Yeah,
what she's saying. Yeah,
forgot about that.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Number 3, discussion and possible action regarding a burn ban within Lander County that would be put into effect immediately and will last until further notice, and to create an ordinance regarding the burn ban and all other matters properly related thereto. So, Counselor, well, we do a burn ban every year, but do we do an ordinance every year or a resolution, or we just declare a burn ban?
We
So the
just
ordinance is new.
That request, yeah, whoever made
Okay,
it.
so I saw you had a copy in from one of the other counties.
Right, that's all I know. I didn't have no context for somebody throwing in the ordinance, so all I could do is get, I think I used Humboldt counties as an example.
Well, we have something in here that says that we had a burn ban that was issued July 13th, 2017, and that it was in effect until further notice. Was there further notice that we pulled it?
Then,
Oh, there
yes,
was?
then
Okay.
we published when we ended it. So for the last 4, 5, 6 years, we've been setting a burn ban. We publish in the paper and post about the details of the burn ban. And it does say till further notice. And then we publish when it ceases. I guess the biggest reason you'd want an ordinance is to give the sheriff some type of
You know,
authority to cite them. That's the only reason, that's the only legitimate reason I can see if you have an ordinance for citing purposes, Because if you have an ordinance and you wanna change it all the time, you're gonna have to go through a months and months process each time to change that ordinance. So if you do a simple ordinance that says that a burn ban will go into effect every year and that people that violate the conditions are guilty of a misdemeanor, that gives the sheriff the authority, if they want to, in discretion, to cite people.
I
It
don't think
doesn't have
we've
to
had-
be,
I don't think we've had any problems, you know, we put the burn ban in effect, and I think people understand the seriousness of the issue.
right.
I think that the outlying areas would be the
I'm
real
just-
concern with burn barrels
I'm
and
just
so
saying
on.
that, in my mind, that's the biggest purpose and reason behind actually developing an ordinance.
So you have a burn ban and somebody is misusing that and an officer walks up and says, excuse me, we have a burn ban in Lander County. I think that's gonna get their attention. He doesn't, or she, necessarily have to write the citation. I
Right.
understand that that's, the bottom line,
Well,
but
the sheriff
anytime
may
an
have-
officer stops you and you don't get a ticket, this is a cool thing,
The
right?
sheriff may have an opinion on this. Sorry, Ronnie.
Thanks, Ted. Ron Unger for the record. In the past, it's exactly what you're talking about. We've had the burn bans in the past. Right now, anybody that is gonna do any burning, they call into the sheriff's office. They let us know that they give us their address, their name, what they're gonna burn, essentially. Sometimes that gets misconstrued to, I'm gonna burn weeds and wood, it winds up being a trailer house or something of that nature. But, in the past and to this date, everybody that's gonna burn, they usually call in. If they don't, we see the smoke, we send the deputies out, they find out, okay, they're just burning weeds, we're okay with that. What's happened last year a little bit, people would call in and say, well, I got all these weeds I gotta burn up around my house, mainly to make a fire break or to clean it up a little bit. We've allowed them to do it because they did call in. Now, if it gets out of control, the fire department will go take care of it. We've had other people that say, well, what happens if I burn anyway? Well, we didn't have anything, we could only suggest to them that it's the wrong time of year, you need to be careful, you gotta do A, B, and C, but there was no teeth in it, and they knew it. So they could say, we're gonna burn anyway. Well, nothing you can do about it. Well, if it gets out of hand, then you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
Is essentially what it is. And last year, I think that they put in there that if you was gonna do an open burning, cause a lot of people in the summertime will have a barbecue, they'll have a fire pit, whatever the case. We've allowed that. We told them, if you got a burn barrel, or a fire pit, that type of stuff, if it was cleared off, we didn't have any issues. So, and we didn't have a lot of issues last year. And this year's gonna be the same as last year. The grass out there is getting really dry, especially in the rurals. Whatever you decide will work with you on. But there is the discretion. If it was a garbage barrel burning, it was cleared off, we didn't write any tickets for that. So, but whatever you folks decide is what we'll do on that.
Well, I think that the way it's working has worked well. I know I call in when I burn.
There's people that call in just about every single day, because we're at that time of the year right now.
I agree with Art.
And
Yeah.
we're those kind of people. When it comes to something like this, we cooperate because it's for the betterment of the desert.
And we try to inform them through the dispatch that, especially, not so much in the town limits, we're not gonna have a big issues here per se. But out in the hilltop area, or out in these outlining areas, if people don't keep an eye on what they're doing, it only takes a spark. If they're burning in the wind, if they happen to start a brush fire, they are responsible at that point in time for the extinguishing of that fire if it got on BLM land.
So if you're on BLM land, because BLM they'll put their burn ban in effect
Exactly.
as soon as we do, you're out on BLM land and you have an open pit fire, you have a campfire and it causes a problem, you're responsible, huh?
Absolutely.
That's federal law, that has nothing to do with the county.
BLM went into effect July 1st.
July 1st?
Yes,
They usually do.
yeah, they did.
I
Yeah.
don't believe we've been notified of that in
No.
my office, but it's usually the 1st of July, or sometime sooner, depending on the activity that they have. You know, let's say like last year, our fire season started in before June.
When I
And
talked to
so-
Doug about this, he said that they will follow us as soon as we do it.
Well, sometimes they'll set theirs ahead of time, and then we'll follow them, but it doesn't make any difference who
I
follows
have a
who.
copy of the release if you want to stop afterwards, and I'll give that to you.
Yeah, because I need some other information.
Okay,
And the Humboldt County open burning burn ban provision I provided in there is a perfect example of what I was talking about. It refers to notices of closure and opening of burning, that you'll receive public notice. But the biggest thing is the last provision where it says if somebody violates it, they're guilty of a misdemeanor. So that's what you have to,
And Humboldt County is strict on that.
yeah.
Just so you know, I was gonna burn it in my property in Winnemucca, made a pile, we was gonna burn it, dug a big hole to burn it in. And the day we was gonna burn was the day that they enacted that, so we can't burn anything until after the burn ban is up.
Don't they know who you are, Ron?
It don't matter who I am, it's
one of my
It's just the way
concerns
it is.
about the ordinances is the new law that went into effect, that affects us when we do put in a new ordinance. We have to do the economic survey of the business people and how that might affect them, that type of thing. And I don't know if you've had a chance to review that, but that just says ordinances, and so I don't know how widespread that's gonna be, every single ordinance we do or what, but that was a concern. So maybe for today, we can just do a burn ban and then worry about what we wanna do to follow up with it, to get
Sounds
more
good to
permanent on
me.
the record.
Is that a motion?
No, I'll make a motion that we put a burn ban into effect today in Lander County,
Following past practice?
And publish it.
and to have it published.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, Judy made the motion, Brian seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment?
So
All
one
those-
question, if you enact this burn ban, then I'm gonna instruct my dispatch, when people call in for a burn notice, we're gonna instruct them that there's a burn ban in effect in Lander County.
Which has been
And
the
leave
same,
it at that.
it's no different than what we've done in the past,
No.
correct?
And that'll discourage a lot of them, there are gonna be some that'll go ahead and do it, but.
All in
So-
favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, thank you, and that passes. Number 4, we need to call somebody on that one?
Yeah, but she isn't available until 10:15, so if we could skip that, please.
Skip that one and move
then
on.
come back.
Okay. Number 5, discussion of possible action to approve or disapprove the renewal of the interstate interlocal contract between Lander County and the state of Nevada, acting by and through its Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Healthcare Financing, and Policy and Division of Welfare and Supportive Services for medical assistance provided in Nevada under authority of Title, what is that, 19?
19.
Of the Social Security Act and all other matters properly related thereto.
This is a renewal, it's the same contract, the cost did not go up, it's just the dates changed.
And I will say, for the record, that our address was updated for Lander County and corrected, ready to go. So if we're ready for a motion on that,
So moved. I'm not reading all that.
do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Judy made the motion, Brian seconded. Any other discussion? Public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you, and that passes.
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break and then come back and do number 5 and then on into number 6. Call the board back to order, and we are on number 4. discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove a request for nominations from the Lander County Board of Commissioners for potential board members from the Nevada Clean Energy Fund within the Governor's Office of Energy to help facilitate meetings and organizational work and all other matters properly related thereto. Okay, we did receive the letter actually from the director, David Bobzine. And we have Jennifer on the line, if you would like to give us your information, Jennifer.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much for letting me be on the call and be a resource to you. My name is Jennifer Taylor. I am the Deputy Director for Intergovernmental Relations for the State Office of Energy.
Thank you, and you're reaching out to all the counties for us to give you a recommendation, a name, right?
Yes, that is correct. The same request was sent to all the counties. Under the statutes, as it's described in the letter, the 9-member board of the Nevada Clean Energy Fund is to include a representative from one representative from the counties other than Clark and Washoe. And so this process is going forward at the other 14 counties as well.
Okay, so it can actually be any of our positions, not necessarily a commissioner, right?
Absolutely. It could be a commissioner if that's who you decide is the most appropriate person to send forward for a nomination. But it could also be just a member of the public, a resident of Lander County that you think would be a good fit for the work that's going to be done under the Clean Energy Fund.
Thank you. To our county manager, since you've had a chance to look at this letter, did you have anyone in mind at all or had an opportunity to speak with anyone?
I have not spoken with anyone. I wanted to see where the commission wanted to go with it first, if there was somebody on the board that wanted to be included in the nominations.
I'm interested in this.
How often do they meet, Jennifer? Or how often will they be meeting?
I would imagine, well, so let me give you a little bit of background real quickly if you can, if that's okay. The Clean Energy Fund was established by statute in 2017, and it's intended to help accelerate adoption of clean energy technologies and renewable energy technologies by providing a unique framework for financing. It has met so far 3 times. So where we are right now with the Clean Energy Fund is that all of the sort of organizational documents have been put in place. The 501c3 status has been granted by the IRS. There is a business plan that was drafted by our consultants, Coalition for Green Capital, and has been put in front of the board for review. That was from the October 2018 meeting, and then the elections happened. There was a transition in this office's leadership, and then the legislative session. So the next meeting that we're anticipating would be in September. I would guess that while the sort of formation of it is ongoing, there may be every other month, but probably more like quarterly. So that's my guess how often it would meet, but it's going to be up to the board and your staff once staff hires are made. So if that answers the question, and also I'm open to any questions you might have about the entity itself and its work.
It does answer my question, thank you. Does the board have any other questions for her?
No, but I'm interested in this. I would tackle this one.
Okay,
I'll
Judy, Brian, either
I'll
one
make a
of you,
motion.
Interested?
I'll make a motion that we nominate Commissioner Clark to represent Lander County for a board member for the Nevada Clean Energy Fund with the Governor's Office of Energy.
I'm gonna
Thank
add
you.
to that for the potential board member or our
Well, okay, yes.
representative, however
For
you
our-
wanna phrase it.
Yes.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy made the motion and Brian seconded that. Is there any other discussion? Any public comment?
I have a question, Jennifer. This is Keith Westengard. now that Commissioner Clark is the nominee, do you need a letter from the county, or are you good with just including his name on your list?
I'm so sorry, Keith, I didn't hear everything that you
Oh,
said. I thought that you were asking if you needed a letter from the county, or what was the rest of it?
Or are you okay with just knowing and adding his name to the list?
I am absolutely okay, but, an email would be great, Keith, if you wanted to shoot me a note that says, Commissioner Clark has been nominated, his name has been put forth. Commissioner Clark, just so you know, there is there's a secondary process, so you're the nominee that Lander County will be putting forth as an option for the rural county representative. There is a boards and commission application that does need to be done at the governor's website, and I am more than happy to walk you through that quick process. It's not a very long application, there's just a couple forms that need to be done.
Okay, and we do have your number, so with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. I'm gonna abstain since it's for me.
Thank you. Okay, you have a representative. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely, Commissioners. Thank you so much for having me as part of the call, and thank you so much for your commitment to this work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Keith, I do think we do need to do that
Austin,
officially.
still with us?
I will.
Yes, we're here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Clark, thank you for stepping up for that. It's always nice to have Lander County represented on different things at
I'll
least.
come in Monday. Okay. We'll do this.
Okay, we have another call to make, and this will bring us to, let's see, number 7. You have the phone number for Jennifer and American Lands Council?
Number 6.
Hello, this is Jennifer.
Jennifer, good morning. This is Pat Waits with Lander County. Hi.
Good morning.
I'm just going to read this into the agenda. Thank you for being with us. Number 7,
Thank you.
discussion and possible
Thank you
action.
very much for having me.
You're welcome. Discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove joining the American Lands Council for 1 year and to select which membership category with fee ranging from $1,000 to $25,000 and all other matters properly related thereto. And we, Lander County has belonged in the past. We did not join last year. And in speaking with Jennifer, she asked to be on and give us just a little bit of information. I don't know, did you want to give us a presentation? Is that what you were asking for, Jennifer?
Well, an overview, it'd be really nice to be able to be there in person and share a PowerPoint presentation, but if you'd allow me to just give a little bit of an overview, I'd like to do that for a few minutes, and then I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that if you can give me a time frame, like what, 5 minutes?
Sure, that'd be fine.
Okay, good, let's go.
Okay, great. Well, we do really appreciate your participation in the past of the American Lands Council. The organization was started by county commissioners and state legislators working together to try to create a movement and affect the transfer of some federal lands to the states. We weren't ever going after all of the federal lands. We didn't want to include national parks and congressionally designated wilderness into the transfer unless those areas became very grossly undermanaged and there was a real high need for that. But primarily the organization was started in order to be able to better manage the lands that are supposed to be multiple use public lands. And I got involved with the organization back in about 2013. I was elected to the Montana State Senate and became very interested in this issue because I live in rural northwest Montana and we are surrounded by millions of acres of federally controlled lands. And although my family and I love the outdoors and love to enjoy the lands, we have experienced some of the problems with federal land management firsthand. Up in where I'm at, northwest Montana, primarily road closures, access closures, and wildfires that are allowed to burn and rage out of control seem to be the predominant sources of trouble for us. But before that, our industries were shut down. We used to have 12 sawmills in our county, and now we're down to 1, and lost a lot of jobs because of the access closures. And since we've seen all those access closures, we've seen the vegetation grow out of control, and we're seeing the same type of cutbacks in logging that we've been seeing in grazing, and also access for mineral production, mining, and energy have all been really curtailed since the late 1970s. Today, I'm coming before you not as a state senator, but as a representative of the American Lands Council. I'm actually the CEO of the organization now. As I said, we were founded by elected officials, and that was back in 2012. And we've grown into a nationwide network of elected officials, resource experts, local government entities, nonprofit organizations, and public land users of every type, from the ranchers and farmers, miners, foresters, and outdoorsmen and outdoorswomen, and just other concerned citizens that see the problems of federal land management and want some serious corrections made. So our main message is that we all want healthy air, water, and wildlife, and safe, vibrant communities and abundant outdoor recreation. But under federal control of our lands, we've been seeing steep declines in these desirable activities for the last several decades. And we feel the only solution big enough is a permanent, constitutionally sound solution, and that is to begin the transfer of federal lands to the states. Our strategy is multi-pronged. We are implementing legal, legislative, and educational strategies across the country. And our goal is to allow states to incrementally acquire pieces of land as they're willing and ready to manage those areas responsibly, and to require the states to work in close coordination with the counties where those lands are located. So that kind of sums it up. Our goal, our ultimate goal, is to achieve thoughtful, accountable, locally driven stewardship of our public lands that allows us to improve public access, take care of the environment properly, and have a sensible balance of economic productivity as well.
Thank you. I know that has been a goal of Lander County for some time too, so that's interesting. When you look at the different levels, fellow commissioners, there's a couple things in here for government. Our general level, if you'd like to join, is 1,000. Silver level is 5,000, and then it goes up higher from there, from 15 or 25. So if this is something you would like to
I'm curious why
promote.
last year, Patsy? And because it is a hot issue.
It is a very hot issue.
Why the board elected not to support them last year?
Actually, we did in a kind of, we made a choice. We had a Nevada Lands Council that started up, and we promoted the in-state one instead. But I think, when I look back on it in hindsight, maybe we were remiss for not keeping this one too. So I do think it's important.
So I'd like to make a motion that we join the American Lands Council at the gold membership level.
I've been,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What level?
At the gold.
At the gold level, the 15,000?
The way I look at it is, we do have, I don't want to be just throwing money around, spending all this money, but we have the money. This is an important issue. It's going to a good service to promote the entire nation on public lands.
No, I understand that. My question would be on the budget, with that amount of what that might come out of, since we've already done our budget.
I could take it out of my professional services line, but it was slashed pretty hard this year too.
Yeah, we have been slashing that.
But I can cover it out of that. In the past, just as background, we had the silver membership for 5,000. But I can cover whatever membership the commission would like.
Okay, I don't hear a second, so that motion dies. Would we like to try for another one?
I make a motion that we do the silver level.
Yeah,
Motion for a civil level for government of 5,000.
second.
Okay, Brian made the motion and Art seconded that. Any other discussion? Public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, and I would be amiss if I didn't, I don't remember whether you gave your last name on that, Jennifer, but it's Fielder, for our records, and I wanted to be sure, since you did say you were Chief Executive Officer, and we had that in the records, but I wasn't sure we had your full name. So thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you folks.
Thank you very much. Be glad to brief with you anytime that you'd like a more in-depth update.
Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, can't think of it.
Okay, we are now going to number 6. And thank you all for waiting. Michelle, do we have any folks from Austin in on number 6?
Yes?
Okay, thank you. Discussion and possible action with regard to the board's prior decision on March 28, 2019, wherein the Lander County Board of County Commissioners deemed it to be in the best interest of Lander County and of the Lander County Combined Sewer and Water District Number 2, that said district be merged, consolidated, or dissolved. That the Lander County Board of County Commissioners need to discuss the response from the district to a letter sent on April 4, 2019 by the county manager and take action on whether to proceed pursuant to NRS 318.490 and enact an ordinance that allows for the merger, consolidation, or dissolution of the district after the required procedures are followed, or whether to allow the district to continue as such without further action by the Lander County Board of County Commissioners and all other matters properly related thereto. So that kind of gives you the history of where we are. In the interim, we did have a community meeting in Austin. Unfortunately, there wasn't anyone there from the board. Sewer and Water District Number 2 board, so we didn't have any of that input. But it is back before you to see what you folks would like to do. Counselor?
It's my understanding that there's been there are different board members now.
We can't hear Ted.
Okay, Ted, they can't hear.
I'm asking if there are different board members than when they responded to this letter? If there are?
Oh, any change of board members recently?
Billy Gandolfo has resigned as vice chair. This is full party.
So, my point on that is,
I'm the
Oh,
chairperson.
just a moment.
my only point on that is that that could be one of your deciding factors, is to resend the letter to the board. Just a possibility.
Okay, so I guess, is there anybody there from the board?
Full party, the chairperson.
Thank you, Hope. So, and our question from the counselor was the makeup of the board. Has anything changed with your concerns since the letter was sent?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I thought you asked if there was a change in our board members. I apologize. But no, nothing has changed.
Okay, same board members.
No, we have had a change in our board members. Billy Gandolfo no longer sits on the board.
Got it. Okay, so we lost one.
I have been actively recruiting so that we can replace that one. At this point, we do still have 3 active board members.
Thank you.
So is their position the same as it was when we received their letter?
So your position of the board is the same as when we received this letter, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, you still would like to continue as a GID,
Yes.
okay?
And I do apologize, just for the record, about not being at the meeting, because there was
Okay, thank you. Okay, at the community meeting, the whole atmosphere was that the folks that attended felt the county should be stepping in to take over. Their main concern was that if we did that, that they would lose the office down there, and they don't wanna lose any more offices. So I couldn't address that. I had no idea what we would be doing, and any particulars if we did take over, what would do if we have an office that they could step into and pay their bill and this type of thing. But that was the only main concern I had, that they brought forward on it. Otherwise, all our information that has come back to us is the biggest concern of what the increase in rates would be. And the increase in rates, if they had to go out and borrow the funding, they did not get the balance of the funding from Lander County, it would be a minimum of $48 a month more if they got the full funding. There's always a question of whether they can still get the full funding. And then they still forgive like, what, 60% of it. So it's just a portion they have to borrow on the loan. The loan is for 40 years, and that's the minimum increase. And that was the concern to everybody at that meeting, was the rate, because so many of them are on a, set monthly income, and it's structured in not any way to get those additional funds. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up for public comment, because we can always comment on some of their comments, and I know we do have one from Austin here. Mr. Lanny, do you have anything that you would like to share with us? Please.
I'm Louis Lanny, former board member, 42 years for Lander County Sewer and Water number 2.
Let me clarify that, 42 years?
42 years.
I thought that's what you said, okay?
And I've got a bad taste in my mouth about what I see going on down there. I think there's a lot of mismanagement going on. They can't seem to keep personnel to take care of the system, to bring, I don't like what I see going on. And if that $48 increase on top of what we're already paying, they're basing that on, they're trying to say that the normal rates for residential will stay the same, but the $48 would be an increase on system obligation fees. And my water bill would go from $200 a month to over $600 a month.
You pay $200 a month?
I do. I'm a big water user down there. And there's so many senior citizens down there on fixed incomes, they cannot handle additional $48 a month on top of what they're already paying.
Well, if they changed it to the system obligation, I mean, some people are not using their water, but they pay a system obligation fee.
Yeah.
So if they have 3 or 4 of those that they're not using, and that 48 went on the top of that, that really would be high. It wouldn't be just the residential. And of course, the business goes higher. I don't know what their intention is, but either way, it's expensive, and I know that's one of the big concerns that I've had the calls on.
Well, when I was on the board, I was the instigator of getting the system obligation fee in. And the purpose of that was to pay off one of the 40-year loans that we had going. The Lander County stepped in and paid off, cleared all the expenses, and the system obligation fee was supposed to go away at that time. It did not, and it just continuously increases every year. And like I say, the system obligation fee, from what I understand, would be like the home that I live in, my residential rate would not go up, supposedly. But I've got three other different pieces of property, which would be excess $48 a month per individual property that I'm not living on. And that's where the water rates would go up. I can't afford it. A lot of people have told me that if this goes up, they're leaving town. This would kill the town of Austin. We're having trouble as it is.
Ted, this sentence, merged, consolidated, or dissolved, what's the difference between those three concepts.
Well, I don't have the legal definition prepared for you, but they're just different extremes. A
Ted,
dissolution,
I'm sorry, could you speak up?
they're different extremes. A dissolution is you dissolve it.
Right.
A merger, you try to make some type of deal and work with them. And I don't know if it's ever been done in the state, so we'd have to, so they're just different aspects of it. If, a merger, they would be merged into the county, so they would no longer be a separate district, but they would still have some functioning, I would matter, and I'm throwing that off the top of my head before I do research on it, but a total dissolution is the county taking it over, and it's a long process.
Yeah.
We have to do the next step if the agenda item calls for the county commissioners to make a choice today of either saying, well, let them continue as a district, or please, let's do up an ordinance and dissolve it, or do some research and see if we can merge, or what, I mean, you can, that's why we keep on putting all three of those in there.
Okay, do we need to dissolve it and then merge or consolidate?
Well, merge and consolidate, it's different to dissolve. You don't, there would, if you dissolve it, there'd be nothing to merge or consolidate.
Okay.
Let me put it that way.
So you don't have to dissolve and then recreate, you can just merge or consolidate?
I would imagine, but I don't,
Okay.
this is no, there's not a lot on this in the state of Nevada. But I'd find out.
So if we consolidate it, it stays intact, only the GID goes away,
I
and then
think,
the county would make provisions to take
Right.
it over.
That's the
I
term
think
I
so,
like.
Commissioner, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
Don't
I
hold
got
me
it.
on that.
Okay.
Okay,
Or if we
I-
did, if we dissolved, the county would step in and take it over, correct?
Yes, and it
So,
would be
I mean,
cheaper.
if I'm not mistaken, the previous conversation that we've had on it is that we could handle it just fine, if I remember, Bert, and we could keep costs at a minimal, right?
Right.
I'm gonna make a motion.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask for public comment on it first. Is that okay? Austin, do you have any public comment for us down there?
Go ahead.
This is Mike Boney with Nevada Rural Water Association. Currently, we're down here assisting the system, not only with training, but to get the maintenance program going again. And the current operator in training is receiving good training from everybody involved with Nevada Rural Water. And however the board decides to go forward with this, if they were to keep a local person here as the operator to keep the local money local and use the contract operator until she was completely trained, that would most likely benefit the community more, depending on how the board decides to solve the issues down here, if they decide to send someone from up there at Battle Mountain, or again, to keep someone local.
Thank you. Anyone else down there?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Judy.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion, we request the district attorney to proceed with the NRS statute to dissolve the GID and draft ordinance papers, documents, draft an ordinance.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Judy made the motion, Brian seconded it. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I don't want anybody to lose their position down there.
If it's dissolved, there wouldn't be any positions down there. It's not that they can't become county employees. They certainly could be brought into the county system. And it might be a positive thing to think about doing that. But we can't, unless we merge or consolidate,
Merger consolidate, then that's different than dissolve and.
I would imagine, without having researched it, I'm just going by the definition of
Right, me too.
each word. But I don't know how it would work.
I do think when we look at the long ways we have to work on this, like you said, one thing at a
Right.
time, that hopefully our concern is to keep Austin with the employees
Right.
and the local
And
vision
we can do that as a
there.
county.
I think that's
We can
what we're
bring them
looking
into
at.
the county system.
Okay, Judy made the motion, Brian seconded it for to dissolve the GID. Any public comment?
I've got one more comment to make. If, here lately, rural water's been a big help down there, no problem. But what I'm seeing there, they're using the county pickup. The lady that's driving the pickup has some of her children riding around in the pickup too. The liability for the county is astronomical if something happens, one of those kids in that pickup. Maybe I'm being hard-nosed about it, but I just,
No,
I
thank you for
put
that.
too much time and effort into that system to watch it go downhill.
Thank you. Okay, I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
From Lander County Combined Sewer and Water District, I'd like to comment. If you dissolve the district today, does that mean all employees don't have a job tomorrow?
We're not even close to a dissolution.
No, nothing really changes except the future. We've got a lot of work to do.
And-
This just
and
means
that includes-
this is what we would intend to do. Nothing changes for you folks.
That includes everybody in the district getting notice from the county and having at least 2 meetings.
Well, it's my understanding if you move and dissolve the district today, that it's dissolved.
No.
And it no longer exists.
No.
Therefore, if you move to dissolve the district today, even though you move forward on paperwork, we're no longer employees.
No.
No, did you get that? No, that just means that's what we would be working towards. But nothing changes today or tomorrow.
Right.
It all has to go through all our legal timeframes.
At least
Okay,
six-
so you're
at least
going
6
to
months.
fire the employees.
How long?
Probably 6 months.
6 months.
He said we're probably looking at about 6 months.
So in 6 months, we're gonna be fired.
Does
No,
that-
that's not what we're saying. Okay, I'll tell you what, I think this is something that needs to be discussed in great detail, but, we're talking, probably a conversation after this is over with.
Yeah.
And I would recommend you call the district attorney's office, and that will give you a real good idea of where we are. Okay, did we all vote? I heard some.
Yeah, aye.
I voted aye, okay, that does pass. Okay, and please, call the district attorney's office this afternoon.
Commissioner, the letter sent to the district spells out each and everything, and it provides the statute that explains everything. It's all explained there.
I think I think it's the way we're interpreting the statute, different people interpret it different ways, so
Well, it calls
if you
for
could
at
help
least
on
2
that one
public
phone
meetings.
call,
It's pretty simple. I'd be happy to talk to them,
okay.
but if they don't understand the letter, they're not gonna understand the conversation.
Okay, we'll move over to number 9. Discussion only regarding the process and permit requirements for portable storage units within Lander County and all other matters properly related thereto.
Good morning, Anna Panola with the Building Department.
Good morning, Anna.
So what are the questions you guys want answered?
Well, I guess the first thing is the clarification of, when you say portable storage units, these are the sheds that are coming in already, the
Prefab.
modular sheds prefab, all set to go.
Containers,
Okay,
cargo?
I thought that we already had information on that. I know I put up one and you told me everything I had to do on it, and I did, so,
In the code book, there is nothing that talks about portable or permanent. So any structure over 200 square feet requires a permit. That's what the code says.
So, I have a problem with it. So, a person goes by the sea container, then they have to have a permit if it's a 40-footer. It's an engineered container that's movable, can be picked up on a truck and moved. Why are you having to buy a permit and pay tax and everything on it when you put it on your property? It's ridiculous.
I agree.
That's my problem I have with it.
Isn't a sea container heavy enough that it won't get blown over by the wind?
Thanks, Art.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I think there's some common sense that's lacking in our ordinance, and maybe it needs to be changed.
It's not in the ordinance,
Oh,
it's
it's
in
not,
the,
it's just
it's in the
square footage.
IRC.
Right. It's in our what?
in the IRC,
I gotcha.
and the IBC.
So if it's not in the ordinance,
Well, then- okay, a building permit for any accessory building to be used as a storage shed or similar type of structure shall not be issued by the county building department if the proposed building wall height exceeds 8 feet. If proposed accessory building wall height exceeds 8 feet, the building official will present an application to the Lander County Commission at the next meeting. County Commissioner, or the County Commission at its regular connected meeting, building permit at the direction of the Commission upon approval. Commission's determination shall be the final determination in the matter. Nothing in this section prohibits the landowner from constructing a garage or barn with wall heights exceeding 8 feet. And that is convoluted to me.
Yeah, exactly, I agree.
So we follow the International Building Code, we adopt that as a county. And we're looking at going to the 18s now, and if we don't follow these codes, we'll have to come up with our own whole set of codes. But we can modify them through the building
Through
code.
the amendments.
Yeah, through the amendments. So if this is a certain area that we need to look into amending, we can do that. But that's why we have those codes right there, so we don't have to come up with our own 2 books of building codes and so forth.
Well, I think IBC, I mean, it's, I don't know, we live in Lander County. You know, we're not in Washoe County, we're not in Clark County, and it's like, it's just.
Are you just opposed to the sea containers and
Well,
cargo
that's, yeah,
containers? Or
yeah. Well, mainly, I mean, I can understand the sheds, they probably need to be tied down because we do have a strong wind or
Yep.
something, you know, but it's just, I don't know. Even those are pre-engineered buildings, and they are mobile, and they're movable. I just, I don't know, I just think it's, I don't know.
So what we could do, is we could look into putting an amendment into the building code, bring it before you, and then we can follow that for the portable sea-tainers and so forth. If that's.
But they, regardless, they still have to meet the setbacks, whether it's permitted or not.
Right.
The code.
Explain that to me.
They have to be so far from the property line, so far from any main structure, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, well, I think that's reasonable that, you know, you practice the easement with a building on your property, because you wanna be able, if there's a.
Well, that's the point, it's mobile, so if they, well, you still have to, yeah.
I mean, that's just placement though.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I mean, we're gonna, somebody has a sea container and they decide to hang some lights or something, and you put a 2x6 in it, and then it becomes something else. This is acidification, you know, it's the kind of stuff goes on in cities. And, does it have a place in Battle
I
Mountain,
don't
in
think
Lander
so.
County?
Unless they put a permanent structure in
Yeah,
the,
unless they make it permanent,
foundation.
then
Well, that'd be
then you're,
different, yeah.
then they'd have to get it.
that's my whole
Right.
problem, that you have
No,
something
I
that's
agree.
mobilized, completely movable. You can jack it up, put it in a trailer, park it, put it somewhere else, and it's just,
Right.
Yeah.
and then they wanna,
And
you have to
people-
permit it and.
People build homes out of sea containers. If they did
Right.
that, then it would be a home. It wouldn't be a.
That's my whole issue, is the whole, it's movable, it's not permanent.
And I just to add to that, it's not allowed through the ordinance to put any kind of storage unit on your property without a main structure. So if you own a piece of land and just wanna put one on there, you have to have a main structure there.
Gotcha.
Just
So you
so
couldn't
you know.
have it, you just put sea
You just can't throw them out on your property.
You can't just throw them out on the property?
Just can't throw them out there.
Man, you better drive around Hilltop.
yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I know it's a separate issue, but, you know, you're not ready to build yet. You go put one out on the property, put all your stuff in it,
Cause what happens, they abandon it, it starts deteriorating, and then we got a nuisance.
So then what do you do with like a 40-foot camp trailer that's movable, that's mobile? Do they need to be permitted?
They're licensed.
Not if they're building on it.
That you can live in one up to a year while you're developing your property. And that's not hard and stone, we can work with that too.
If you're living in it.
Mhm.
If you're not, it doesn't.
It's just, you're just storing a vehicle.
So that would go to the whole thing, if that's allowed, why wouldn't a 40-foot sea container be allowed without being permitted, you see what I'm saying?
So what we can do, I know this is just a discussion only item, but what we'll do is, we'll look at revamping the portable storage containers and then bring it back to the board, if that's acceptable.
Portable storage containers or anything that's, portable, storage, storage, that would sum it up.
This has been a topic of discussion regularly in the time I've been here about storage containers and.
Yeah.
So across the board.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll look at it and get it back to you.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Public Works, number 10, discussion and possible action to approve the renewal contract between Lander County and Lander Lawn Care for the grounds maintenance of the Lander County buildings and county parks located in Battle Mountain and all of the matters properly related thereto.
Bert Ramus for the record. So as all of you are probably aware, Maryland does all of our park in the summer, and it does this fantastic job.
Fantastic job.
And nothing's changed on the contract.
Nope, she didn't ask for an increase. She's keeping everything the same.
I'll make a motion, we approve the renewal of the contract between Lander County and Lander Lawn Care for the grounds maintenance at the Lander County buildings and county parks located in Battle Mountain.
I'll second.
Okay, just my clarification here, this is for next year's contract?
Yes. So the reason this is on the agenda so far in advance is because Marilyn wanted to purchase a new lawnmower, but it was dependent on whether she had a contract with us or not.
Okay, so the contract actually goes from March 1st, 2020 to October 31st, 2023.
Correct.
Okay.
Speak of.
Yep.
Judy made the motion, Brian seconded. Any other discussion? Public comment?
Oh, and authorize the county manager or the chair to sign.
Got her name on it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay with the amendment? Brian? And authorize?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And that passes. We are at number 11, update from the Public Works Director and all other matters properly related thereto.
So the good news is not anything too exciting. We did file our proof of completion of work for the well 9 out here in the valley. That was put in, so the well was established and we transferred the water rights in 2014, but the completion of work is just now being finalized because you have to get your pumpage reports and you gotta get all that kind of in line for the state before you do the completion of work. So we just filed for that. All them water rights now that have been transferred over to number 9 will be permanent to number 9. I don't have an exact number on what the acre feet we put to 9 are, but so that, and then we passed the landfill inspection. So they come out and they do, NDEP comes out and does an inspection on our landfill, and it passed with flying colors. So we've been on an annual where they come and they check us yearly now. Went from 3 months to that a while back, so everything seems to be really good. All of our monitoring wells that are out there on the landfill passed, and that's important because all of our wells are downhill from that, our municipal wells. So the monitoring wells looked really good. And with a high water year like this, if there was going to be a time where we'd start getting something, it would have probably been on a year like this. So that's about all we have going right now.
When are your plans to start the RV dump station that we approved for?
So that will be probably on the next agenda for you guys,
Okay,
if not the following, because,
Right.
so plans are complete. I signed for the engineer to start on working on that about a month ago, and so we're gonna start putting it out.
Yeah, there's a few people in town excited about it, so.
Yes.
So,
I know I talked with Brian Gardner yesterday. He wants to build a fence between the two, he's gonna start with concrete barriers, because he's having a lot of things going over there late at night. You know, with his wrecked trucks and stuff he parks on his piece of property adjacent to ours. So if you guys see some blocks and stuff starting to get set up over there, that's what's going on there until then.
So Bert, this last budget, you got money for sidewalks?
Yes.
And have you started sidewalk work down by
No,
Illinois?
we have not started any sidewalk yet. We have our engineer, so that's probably gonna be coming back before you guys this next meeting as well. I'm gonna give you guys two options. There's, the one option is just kind of, just a plain Jane, put some sidewalks in, get as many linear feet as we can. The second option is kind of a beautification type, you know, and it's a lot to discuss and that I haven't discussed yet, but is where I'm going with this is some of these places behind the curb, people have trees. And
No,
we
I
have a lot to remove, and some, if we put it out in the street, it eats up a lot of streets, so we're wondering if we shouldn't do some curves in spot to make it kind of pretty for some homeowners out front to improve their property value where we can, and then straight shots on the rest of it.
Okay, so my question why I brought this up is because they are doing some work on the sidewalks or on the easements down around Lemaire School. Honeywell's doing some work there.
Yeah, we're putting in sidewalks, so there's sidewalk going in where we put in the sewer main from
Okay,
last year.
okay.
So last year's project, we put that force main in from the park over to,
So I was just curious because I didn't know if you had an area specifically looking around Lemaire School, or if you were gonna work on both school district areas.
no, so
as
the
far as-
specific project that you guys approved for us to do is will be, First Street up to the high school.
Okay.
That will be the block that we're working on. But since we disturbed all that over there, I figured that we'd come back in and put sidewalks in from the Lemaire School over to that park.
And I was just curious if that was just the area you were gonna be working on for the sidewalks, or if you were gonna do more over by the grade school and the high school. That was all.
No, this first phase is just gonna be right here. I got it kind of 4 phases, is what we discussed during budget, is we'd start that phase there, then move to the other side, then to this side of the, block the town up, so what we'll
Yeah.
do.
No, I just, like I said, I was just curious if that's what was going on.
That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bert.
Any public comment?
I'd like to compliment Bert on the slurry seal they did in Austin.
What?
This is Lewis County, I'd like to compliment the county on the slurry seal that they did in Austin, to the town of Austin, new facelift. It needs some more, because it makes a big difference.
Got that, Bert?
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, give us a little honey for the record. Moving on to correspondence number 12, correspondence reports, potential upcoming agenda items.
I don't have anything.
A couple things on my board, but pretty limited, so.
Is the bug man still flying?
Yes, he was, late last week, he did fly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hearing none, we'll bring it up as it comes up in our different areas, right? We move on to public comment. For non-agendized items only, persons are invited to submit comments in writing and/or attend and make comments on any non-agenda item on the board meeting, if any, and discussion of those comments at the discretion of the board. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person, again at the discretion of the board. Reasonable restrictions may be placed on public comments based upon time, place, and manner, but public comment based upon viewpoint may not be restricted. Is there any additional public comment for our meeting today? Hearing none, thank you for
Motion.
attending, and
To adjourn.
Second.
motion to adjourn is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Goodbye, Austin.
I didn't mean to call him bug man.
Robin.